Good evening, Facebook, and welcome to Deep Conversations and Transformations. My name is Lynette, and my intention behind these interviews is that everyone involved positively transforms. And tonight I am joined by my friend Julia Melville. Julia is a coach, a mentor, a Kundalini yoga instructor. Yes, she's coming on. Let me just add her. She's also a Theta practitioner. She's a mum to 3 girls, and she has been with her husband Archie for 36 years. Hello. Here you
Hi,
are.
Lynette. Hi.
How are you doing? That was easy.
Yeah, it worked.
That worked.
We set the intention.
We made it strong, didn't we? We've been connecting throughout today just to really get clear on what we wanted to bring to this interview and how we wanted to feel and how we wanted to make others feel. So thanks for being super clear. So
Thank you.
Tell us how you became everything that you're doing right now, because I think you made the change about 13 years ago.
Yes, I did. So 13 years ago, I decided to really listen to the bit inside that kept saying there's more inside you.
Yeah.
And I was at that point doing some marketing work, some admin work, and I was working in a company where it was quite stressful at times. And I started having panic attacks, and I've never had panic attacks in my life before that.
Oh.
And it just really was a wake-up call to me to do something to change it. So I looked at life coaching, interestingly, at that time.
Yeah.
And when I had young children, and when I looked around in Scotland, the people that were doing life coaching were all traveling to London or Birmingham or Manchester. And I thought, I can't do that with my 3 young kids at this stage. So I then decided to go down the psychotherapy route and did a 3-year training with a foundation course and then a 2-year course after that, continual training, which actually has underpinned my work ever since, to be honest, because I think it's also something that I really needed myself. You know, we're always drawn to what we need.
Yes, we are. We always teach what we need to learn as well.
Definitely. So
That's
I went
amazing.
off on that course, and then over the time, as I think you might have mentioned, I then discovered Kundalini yoga.
Yes.
Because I think for me, I've had my own therapy over the years, and sometimes talking isn't quite enough. I think I really believe so strongly, and I'm sure you do as well, about that connection with mind and body. We have to connect the two. We can't live just in our heads, and we can't live just in our bodies. So
Kundalini. Somebody actually asked, like, why would you choose Kundalini over any other type of yoga, sort of to train in and also to facilitate? What makes you so drawn towards that?
So Kundalini, I believe it finds you. So I went on a retreat with a friend of mine, and it was Hatha yoga and Kundalini, and I'd never heard of Kundalini yoga, and this was about eight years ago, and it said there was going to be chanting and things like that, and I thought, oh my God, that's so not my style. And anyway, I turned up and, of course, completely fell in love with it. And what it does is it works on the nervous system. So it shifts blocks of energy and emotion that have got stuck inside. And you don't even need to know why it's moving. But I cried a lot over that retreat weekend.
That's amazing.
And I remember saying to the woman who was running it, what's wrong with me? Why do I keep crying? She said, don't worry, just let it go. And actually, subsequently, she then became my teacher. I went and trained with her. So that's why.
Yeah, my brother actually started to do Kundalini when he was going on his journey. It was told by many people, and then he got home one day and there was a leaflet at his door inviting him to a class. He was like, okay,
amazing,
I must go. But he says it was very female, like he was the only guy in the class. He found it really intimidating. Now, he's quite a strong character, so for him to find that intimidating, I was like shocked. But he said there was a lot of singing, chanting, and his big Scottish voice. But he said it really helped him to shift so much. Through the movement and the chanting.
So I teach in Perth every Tuesday night, and I run workshops, and I've got a retreat coming up in May, and we have a mixture of men and women, which is really cool.
Good.
So it's really lovely that men feel drawn to it, actually, and that they come to it. And actually, in answer to your question, why is it different from other yogas? We practice with our eyes closed, so it's very much about our own personal experience. And also, so if you have your eyes closed, you're not looking at what your neighbour's doing, whether you're doing it right or wrong, because it is what you need in that moment. And it's not about how bendy and stretchy you are. It's more about, as I say, shifting the stuck emotion or the stuck energy, the chi.
That's amazing. I think the closed eyes will make you feel really empowered, because I know even me, sometimes I'll go to yoga classes and you're comparing yourself. You know, you don't want to, but you're like, oh shit, I can't do what they're doing. And then you're like, shit, everyone's looking at me, beating yourself up. So yeah, that sounds amazing that you actually get to just be with yourself.
Yeah, and there are thousands of different kriyas, which is a set of exercises. They work on, there are some for the liver, for fear, for anger, for anxiety, all sorts of the adrenals, your glands, also anything you can really think of, opening your heart. So yeah, it's amazing.
That's amazing. So you run classes every week and you run workshops. I mean, after we've done this interview, I'll get you to sort of put any links in there for anyone watching, so that they can get in touch with you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be great. That'd be cool.
So then you trained in the Kundalini. So then what came next after training Kundalini?
So then I did that, and then I came across Theta Healing, and that felt like it was the kind of thing that sort of brought it all together and sealed everything. And Theta Healing is works with the energy of creator, or whatever you want to call it. For me, it's creator, but working with that higher energy to clear beliefs that we carry that no longer serve us. So we pick up beliefs when we're in our childhood through no fault of our parents, because I definitely am not in the game of blaming our parents, but we pick up these things that we then believe about ourselves, and Theta Healing clears those. And it's a really powerful way to work. So I often describe it, it's a bit like counselling, but on a much deeper level. And the energy around it is incredible. I mean, you just feel fantastic after a session.
Yeah, you do. Outer worldly, I would say.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So you were counselling, and how did you now you're coaching. So what made you sort of transition from the counselling to the coaching and the mentoring?
So about 3 years ago, I'd been working with a EAP company, Employee Assisted Program Company, and who were based in Gloucester, and they had clients up in Perth. And I was working with them, and they, a lot of the clients that came, I realised they wanted to look forward, not backwards. And it just really started to shift my view on how I was working. And I noticed my energy was really different. I work very intuitively, so I noticed my energy was very different when I was around them.
Yeah.
And so actually then I started to look more into coaching. I've had a lot of my own personal coaching, and it just suits me better. And I just love working with people to help them move through these blocks, because in the words of Muji, habits are from the mind. There, and how we can work through them and get rid of them, because they don't help us most of the time.
Yeah, and coaching is so powerful. Yeah, it's so powerful, because it's just moving forward, isn't it? It's like releasing and going that way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Rather than looking backwards, and the energy is just different. It's not so heavy.
Nice. So how does the sort of Kundalini and the Theta Healing come into the coaching? Does it come into the coaching? Do you use all things together, or are you making them really separate? Yeah.
No, I use all three together. And I very much focus on breath, because breath is such an important part of us. Obviously, it's the life force.
Yeah.
And so I use breath a lot, and often we'll do a breath work with somebody if that's what's needed in that time. And the theta, I tend to go in the session with whatever's coming up. So the theta also helps me really tune into that person's energy and just hear what's needed and what they're needing in that moment. And at the beginning, I used to doubt it. I'd think, that can't be right, saying whatever it was that was coming through. But I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to just share this with you. And they go, oh my God, that's amazing. That is exactly what's happening for me at the minute. So it's great to use all three of them. And I think with the counselling as my background and underpinning it, I can take people into that sort of darker, shadowy place, if that's where they need to go. But I can bring them back out again as well, quite safely.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
somebody asked, so a lot of questions come through about anxiety, which is obviously a big thing in our culture. Somebody asked, like, what would be the first thing that you would say or do with a client that comes in with anxiety?
So, gosh, each and every person is obviously so different.
Yeah.
But I definitely, my first thing is to put them at their ease. So we will just maybe chat a bit at the beginning about how they found me, tell them a bit about myself. But probably predominantly is to take them to their breath and to just sit with them and really become aware of the breath on the inhale, that coolness of the breath as you inhale through your nostrils, and then the warmth of it as you exhale. And also coming into their heart to really sort of focus on their heart center. So that's probably what we'll do. And actually, and making sure their feet are on the ground so that they're fully grounded. And then it starts to bring them more present into the moment, because anxiety takes us out of the present. We're either in the past or the future. Whereas when we're fully present, we become more, our mind and our body become connected. We become more of who we are.
Yeah, that's amazing. Somebody also asked, can stress and anxiety trick our minds into negative physical health?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Heal documentary, and it's, you know, if anyone out there is like want to explore this a little bit deeper, like Heal, which is a free document. Well, if you get Netflix, it's on there. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. So stress, anxiety, you do believe?
Well, I work with a lot of people who have panic attacks and who can dissociate often, and or have dissociative moments, not necessarily when they're with me, but, you know, have them out with the sessions. And that is just really when anxiety builds up and up, and it's our mind can get hold of something that isn't even true in that moment. But we start to believe it, as you know, we start to believe it. And then it suddenly grows arms and legs. And before we know it, we've created this whole story that actually is really not right. It's not true to us. And so, yes, the mind definitely can.
And do you think just over years of sort of holding on to that anxiety and keeping it going would cause then sort of disease or showing up in other ways?
Yeah, and I very much think that disease is dis-ease, because it's dis-ease in the body. And our bodies are the most incredible machines. And if we don't listen to them, then we become ill. So, you know, when people are, you know, myself included, you know, if I get struck down by something, I know it's because I'm needing to slow down a bit.
Yes, definitely.
I was in hospital a few years ago with gallbladder problems. And I had endless x-rays and tests and all the rest of it, and they couldn't find anything at all. And I lay in bed on the second or third day and looked out of the window, and all the clouds had gone into the shape of animals. And I thought, what am I needing at this moment? Why am I seeing this? And it was just, you just need to slow down and get into nature. Pretty dramatic way to find out. But that was the
Sometimes
message.
that's the only way we'll listen, though. You know, I interviewed Fee Monroe, who I know that you know, and she said that herself. It was like she needed something like that to sort of wake her up to how she was living. So it's amazing what will happen if you don't start listening to yourself.
And we don't like that feeling of anxiety. I mean, I know myself in the past, I haven't liked that feeling of anxiety. So then we'll use things to distract ourselves away from it, whether it's having a drink or a cigarette or drugs or food or exercise can also be part of it. So anything that's kind of slightly to the extreme or distracts us away from us.
Yeah, a lot of people, well, you know, I've been there myself. You keep yourself so busy because when you do get still and try and meditate or whatever, like everything comes up and you're like, oh God, just press it back down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's getting past that and just realizing once you start to release it, you know, the anxiety will release also.
Yes, totally. Once we lean into it, and I know you know this as well yourself, yeah. When we acknowledge that feeling and we lean into it, it actually takes the energy and the power out of it almost. It diminishes, which seems crazy because you think if you go near it, it's going to get completely out of control.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
No. Not in my experience.
Yeah. So you've been married to or you've been with your husband, sorry, for 36 years. I want to like touch on this because that's an achievement these days. Like that's incredible. Well done.
Thank you.
So you're getting a few likes there. What has been like, what has kept you both so committed to each other? And what are your secrets or any insights on relationships to keep them strong?
So I think the biggest thing is that we give each other freedom.
Amazing. That's so funny. Got it tattooed on my wrist.
So we give each other freedom, and we also have huge respect for each other. So for instance, I go off and do various trainings here and there, but I'll always check with him that it's okay that I'm going to go. Not that I'm seeking permission, but he has a diary as well, and I just need to make sure that it's going to work, rather than me just saying, right, bye, I'm off, and see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
So I think definitely respect for each other and freedom. Don't get me wrong, there have been ups and downs, of course, like any relationship.
Yeah.
But we work our way through them through communicating. And we've definitely got, with me having been on this sort of course, this path, our relationship has become stronger as a result of it, with having more communication between us. And actually now, whereas before I would kind of shy away from things where things felt a bit awkward or a bit tricky, now I'll go in.
Go straight in there.
Yeah. Say, right,
he's like, oh no, here she comes.
I know.
So I believe that the more we love ourselves, we have more capacity to love others. So you said when this path started. So do you feel like the more you've started to really nourish yourself, that's when the relationship became a bit easier?
Yes, definitely, absolutely, definitely. I was so hard on myself. When I think back to how I was when I was younger, I was so hard on myself. It's painful to think about it almost, but we can all go there.
Yeah, we can. So now you do work with couples, is that right?
I do, yes. I love working with couples. I really, really enjoy working with them, because I love looking at the dance of the relationship, because so often we're not on the dance floor at the same time. And it's how to understand that, and to actually come onto that dance floor so that we are together and dancing in time with each other. If one's off the floor, then that's where the discord happens. And I think often it's fear around commitment and being vulnerable with your partner, and from past experiences. And when we go into a relationship, we bring all our past relationships into that relationship, all our fears, all our anxieties, all those things.
And we bring ourselves, which is the one person that's always going to be with us.
Yes.
I think commitment, you've mentioned there. I think responsibility as well, isn't it? This is such a big part of relationships. Yeah,
definitely. Huge part of it, definitely. Yeah. And I always knew I was going to marry him. I just had this message that came through, that there was this guy who was I lived in England, and there was this guy in the north of Scotland, and we were going to meet, and that was what was going to happen, and it did.
And how did you meet him?
We met at a party.
Tinder wasn't on back then.
No, and actually I was going out with somebody else at the time. So but anyway, and then the day after I met him, he walked past my office, and we bumped into each other, and it kind of went from there. So yeah.
And were you dancing at that party? You talk about the dance for life and the dance with relationships. Did you meet on the dance floor?
Yes, we did dance, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I think there's that show Flirty Dancing that's on just now, and I love it because it's all about meeting somebody in a dance. And you think oh God, when my old auntie and my nana were younger, they used to go dancing, and that's how they meet people, because you lock eyes, and I think it's the power of the eyes when you lock with someone.
I love that program. It's so cool, the body language and everything. It's so brilliant.
I want to apply for it.
Yeah, do get on there.
So communication and commitment, and communication, I suppose, for couples can sometimes be the hardest, especially if they've, say, gone for a few years without really communicating deeply with each other. So when couples come to you, is that kind of are you there to sort of facilitate them going a little bit deeper together?
Yeah, definitely. So what tends to happen is I'll meet them individually, and then we come together and meet together. And anything that they share when we meet individually, if they tell me something they don't want their partner to know, but then I ask them not to tell me because that puts me in an awkward situation. So everything must be really open.
Yeah.
And it's really, I suppose in a way it's a safe place where they can voice things that they maybe can't voice because it escalates into, ignites into an argument. And so it's holding that space. It can be a pretty dynamic experience. The three of us together, it can get pretty dynamic at times and quite fiery at times. Yeah. But again, it's how to sort of contain that and just bring awareness that, it really doesn't have to be like that. And the impact it's having on them, because when we start to become aware of how we are in relationship, we also start to become aware of our words and what we're speaking. And if we're angry with somebody, then sorry, I've just been distracted by Alina. When we're angry with somebody, actually that energy is going into us. So it's not just us being angry towards somebody else. It's us carrying that horrible negative energy around as well. So it's really bringing awareness to self as well as to the relationship. But as you said earlier, it's when we start to love ourselves more and accept ourselves more, then our relationships change.
Yeah, and what is the most sort of common problem, would you say, that couples come to you with?
Ooh, that's a big question.
Or is it just still
not communicating clearly
not
enough?
Communicating,
yeah.
I suppose it boils down to everything, eh?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And anger is a secondary emotion. There's always something else going on under anger. It's there's fear, or there's rejection, or there's anxiety. There's always something else underneath that anger. Anger's our defense, isn't it? You know that.
Yeah.
Anger's our defense mechanism. Lots of people know that. It's our defense mechanism. So
that's amazing. So you work with couples, but you also do one-to-one as well. And with the couples, would you bring in the Kundalini? Because I hear that's quite a sexual yoga, or have I got that wrong?
No, well, it is. And actually, I remember when I first started that, somebody said that to me. So Kundalini yoga, it works on the Kundalini energy, which we all have. It's stored at the base of our spine. So, it is in some ways, because it gives you that natural high, that really fantastic feeling that, you can get when you have sex as well. But it is not a sexual...
So we're not having orgasms in class.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Nor in my sessions, I hasten to add.
And do you think that sort of Kundalini energy is related to or connected to manifesting, and bringing in maybe more abundance, would you say?
Yes, I think so. Although I think the Theta also is a big part of that energy of working with the energy of Creator. I think that really brings in the abundance as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Definitely. So basically, come to you and we're going to be feeling abundant, alive.
Yeah.
Sexual.
Exactly. Get in the flow of life.
Get in the flow.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just going to see if there's anything else that was asked. Where did we get to? I don't want to miss anything out. I think that was all the questions that came up from that. So I want to ask, what's been your greatest achievement so far? What are you most proud of that you have done, that you've achieved?
I think my biggest achievement is getting rid of the anxiety that dogged me for many, many, many years. Yeah.
How many years do you think you had it?
Oh my gosh, I think it started from a really, really young age. I went to boarding school when I was 12. I definitely had it then. And I think it was around a bit before that, like a sort of separation anxiety, I suppose. Yeah. And then that just sort of got into things around attachment and things like that. And it's not really until about 4 or 5 years ago, actually, that maybe not even as long as that, maybe 2-3 years ago, that I really suddenly got a handle on it. I remember doing a Theta Healing training course for intuitive anatomy, where you learn all about the body. Yeah? And one of the students there said to me, "Gosh, you hold a lot of anger." And I thought, "No, you're talking complete rubbish." "No, I don't. This calm facade. And actually, I'm so grateful to him, because it really started me thinking. And it's thanks to him that actually things have really started to shift. And I've become aware of that, how I did hold that anxiety, and actually how I don't now. And it's such a feeling of freedom, and
it is
amazing.
So
yeah.
And God, what a long time for you to, suffer that anxiety. And thank you for sharing that. And it's so funny, that's, 12, when you say 12, that is when my anxiety started. And I
Right.
didn't know it was that until like years later. But there's definitely something about, your hormones coming in, and it really affects you, doesn't it? It's like you change and you just don't know why you're feeling like that anymore. And it's crazy, I feel really passionate about getting the messages about anxiety and how we can heal it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because also it makes us ill. It makes us feel ill, and also it's a place of, and you maybe felt the same. It can take you into a really lonely place, really feeling quite disconnected, and not really understanding why.
Yeah, and thinking there's something, because I don't think I actually knew what anxiety was until I was in my late 20s. And then I was like, that's what, like, I was now able to label something that I'd been dealing with. So there'll be many teenagers out there that maybe will feel that tightness and that pain and the shallow breath, and they don't even know what it is. And then it becomes like, that's just how I am. That's just me. And then it's crazy when you start to really release the anxiety and you can breathe again and you feel that freedom and openness. Yeah. And you're like, God, how many years did I have that for?
And also, I don't think it will still come up, as you might find yourself, it's still, the thoughts can be there, but we have ways to manage it and tools to cope with it. So, when I work with young people, I will say to them that, there might be situations where it will happen again, but actually it's remembering, to come back into your breath, to center yourself, to remember that actually it's not really happening. It's probably a memory that's come from the past, and it's not really happening. That's where the Kundalini yoga has helped me hugely, because the Kundalini brings you fully into the present, because you have to be present to practice it.
That's amazing.
Doing the mantras and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's finding all these, for anyone out there, it is finding the tools that work for you, the practices, and practicing every single day, because it's really important to have your health, your mental, your physical, everything.
Yes. Yeah. Because we're here to have fun.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. We need to shake it off a little bit. We need to join your class.
But we are here to have fun, and we can get so caught up in the busyness of life and oh my God, I've got no time to do this and that and the next thing. But actually it's just, right, let's just stop and just sort of take stock. Yeah.
Yeah. And laugh. So you're starting you're starting a new group, mindfulness, is it Mindful Moments?
Mindful Moments, yeah.
So is this like an online group, or is this a meeting group? Tell us.
No, it's a meeting group. So I had my first one in Kinross last week, which was great. And
amazing.
It's very much about exactly this, about really giving yourself an hour to come into relationship with yourself and to understand the impact that we have on ourselves. And so there's a bit of talking, and then there's some meditating, and some nice music, and some breath work to help. I gave people 3 or 4 different breaths to try. Each one was for 3 minutes, just to give them a variety, because then they can maybe go home and practice it at home, and whichever one suits them.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
Then and it starts and I'm in Perth on Tuesdays, so Wednesdays in Kinross and Perth on Tuesdays. Yeah,
that's
so it's
amazing.
Cool.
Well, you can share again the links underneath, so that people have got that information. But I think it's so needed, these types of classes in the community. So it's so amazing that you're doing it up there.
I think so, because I've often thought, because I used to live in Edinburgh and I've always feel drawn to Edinburgh. I love Edinburgh. Yes. But actually I've so strongly heard, no, I need to actually be in Kinross and Perth and maybe Dundee, and actually in those areas, because to really help there as well, because there can't be too many people doing these things. And but there are a lot of people in Edinburgh, and I think it's, I need to be where I am.
Which will help the UK, will help Scotland, for groups of people all coming together to meditate with the same intention. It's so bloody powerful. So well done. Yeah.
And I think in the past also, my anxiety would get in the way of me thinking, oh my gosh, so-and-so is doing that, so I can't possibly do it. But actually I've realised at last that, we all have our own different tribes. And collectively, we want to raise consciousness collectively. And what can we do, each of us individually? to help that. So
yeah,
yeah,
there's
it's
so
pretty
many
cool.
humans, and yeah, people all connect with different people on different levels. So I think, yeah, keep doing that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
it's cool.
good. So what would you want, like, what would you like your legacy to be when you leave here? Like, when you're rocking on your chair at age 100, what would you
Oh, well,
like?
I'm going to live till I'm 97. I tuned
Oh,
into that not long ago. So
maybe it's
yeah,
100.
but maybe it'll be 100. Who knows? Um, I would like my legacy to be that I never stopped searching and sharing what I
Searching and
found out.
sharing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's so
Um,
good. It's all
we
about the sharing.
moved, it is all about the sharing. We moved, as you may know, we moved into the Aquarian age in 2011, 2012. Before that, we were in the Piscean age. And, you know, for thousands of years, we go into these periods of time, yeah. So the Piscean age was very secret. It was very much, you know, holding stuff close to our hearts. And the Aquarian age, which we're, as I say, we're now in, is about let me share with you all that I know. And I just think that's so beautiful. And I think for, you know, we see the younger generations coming through that they're really into sharing stuff. And I think it's fantastic. I feel so grateful to be alive at this time and actually being able to do this, because that closed Piscean age is, it's hard energy. It was hard energy, yeah. If you think back to it, yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and it's so true. Like, the younger generation coming through are so open and so sharing.
Yeah.
And I think that is what needs to happen. It's sharing. That's where we heal and others heal, by listening. It's just a beautiful thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
So what's the goals for this year? Is there any big goal, or is there any big vision that you would want to share with everyone out there?
My goal is to keep expanding and expanding out. So the more people I can speak to in whatever shape or form it might be, the better. Just to help, as I say, just help raise the vibration and just share all that I know, and to just really help people discover that the freedom that we do have inside, and the joy that we do have inside, to actually really get in touch with that part of us. And so yeah, that's my mission, really.
Your mission.
And to help things globally. I just, you know, I work with people all over the place. I have a client in New Zealand at the minute. You know, I'm all over. I'm global, and I want to be global. I want to help people wherever I possibly can. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love it. I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Lynette.
So something came to me there. What was I just going to ask? Oh, it's just gone from my mind. When you said something there, I was triggered. I was like, I need to ask that, and it's just gone. Is there
Working
anything else you want to share?
I think also the thing that I really feel passionate about, and actually I've said it to my children practically from the day they were born, was there's always a knowing inside. There's always that feeling of knowing, and it's really to pay attention to that and really honour it, actually.
Yeah, honour yourself and trust.
Yeah. Because when we don't, and you know, how many times do we look back and think, oh God, I knew I was meant to do that, but actually I went the other way, and it hasn't worked out. So yeah, that is something that I feel really strongly about.
Yeah, because it starts to get really, you start to get really frustrated with yourself. You know, when you don't trust yourself, and then people are telling you things, and you're like, this isn't right, but you just stay quiet, or you like become quieter. And I think that you then get to a point where you're like, wait a minute, I actually know the answers to everything that's going on. I need to start speaking. I think that's when you start to create change.
I agree, when we're aligned with ourselves, isn't it? Yeah. It's cool. It's really cool.
Who would you say is your hero? Like, if they're dead or alive still, who would you like most to meet?
Well, I've just recently got back from India. I just got back last Tuesday.
That's what I was going to ask about. India.
Yeah.
So tell us,
So I was there so Kundalini Yoga, there are I think there are 3 levels of training, actually. Anyway, I'm in my 2nd level of training, and there are 5 modules. So I went off and did my 3rd module while I was out there. And I discovered in the week before, I was in Rishikesh at the foot of the Himalayas, and I discovered that Muji was out there. and he was doing Sangat every morning. So on the Saturday night, which was my last night before going up into the Himalayas for the training, I went along to, they're called bhajans, his musicians, and the most incredible music, 14 of them playing with saxophone and Punjabi drums, and it was so cool, singing mantras. And my intention as I walked into the ashram was to get as close to Muji as I possibly could that night.
Wow.
And we left the ashram, and we were waiting and waiting to leave, and people kept saying, no, you can't leave, you've got to stay behind this barrier. And I thought, what is going on? Then all the musicians came out, and then a car started to come towards us, and Muji was in the car, and I shook his hand.
Oh my God, I've got goosebumps. That's amazing.
Absolutely incredible. Oh, just incredible. And then the next morning was his last Sangat of talking to people. And oh my gosh, I mean, just incredible, really, really incredible. So he is really a hero of mine. I mean, he has reached that place of zero, really, how we go to that place of zero. So we don't let all this stuff come in and impact on us and help us. We just take ourselves back to zero.
Julia, that is incredible. And, you know, this really is when we get really super clear on our intention, like, you never know how it's going to happen, but the mechanics will show up if you're like got a deep desire to see something through or to meet someone like that. You know, it happens. Yeah,
totally.
Because you're like, how can I get out here? And they're like, I know. That's the reason. Because he was coming to shake your hand. Yeah. Wow.
I know. It was awesome. Just really, really incredible.
And did you travel to India on your own? Was it a solo trip, or were you there?
No. So I teach yoga with a friend of mine. So and we've done our trainings together, which is great. And so then we went on up into the Himalayas for the training, and had a week. It was pretty intense, but it was good. But we were up at 3:30 every morning to do our sadhana. Wow. And 2.5 hours of yoga and chanting and stuff. But it's amazing. I mean, I have my own sadhana practice, but I have to say I do not get up at that time in the morning here.
So is that your first time to India?
Yes.
Yeah. And what was your biggest takeaway from there? What did you learn from India?
I learned that it's a very, very simplistic way of life. I didn't see a supermarket in 2 weeks. And I went to Sainsbury's on my way back here, and it was a bit like a bit of a shock to the system. Very simple way of life, incredibly friendly, kind people. Everybody walks about, you know, you walk past them and they put their hand on their heart and namaste as they walk past. And I found that incredible. The men are very respectful of women, you know, the ones I came across. And it was lovely. And I think one of the highlights, apart from Muji, was I went to my trainer. She's very involved with a children's home. Orphanage is such a horrible word, but it is. It's a children's home, and called Ramana's Cafe, and it's absolutely amazing. And you go down. I went there one day, and she was running a workshop there, and we made our own malas there, and all these just incredible children who have come from very broken homes, very difficult situations, and they put them through education, and they've had kids that have gone on to be doctors and things like that, which is really incredible. But you go off this really pretty rough street. You know, the cows are everywhere because cows are sacred. Yeah, there was a cow in a shop one day, but there are cows everywhere. And you go off this pretty sort of crazy experience down the steps into this amazing children's home, and the energy there, it was just magical. It really was magical. And there was one little girl who spelt her name out on my hand because she couldn't speak English, and it was just really touched my heart, actually. And I would love to go back there and volunteer. Funnily enough, there was a girl on the training. Who came on the training. I realised she was there, so I've talked to her, and hopefully we'll go back.
So so that could be a goal.
Yes, that is a goal. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, I'm just to take us back to the start where we started on this interview. You know, it was 13 years ago. So, like, what made, like, you know, you can have there'll be people out there who might be in corporate work, or they've been working for the company for many years. Because how many years had you always worked for other people?
Oh, I mean, since I was about 16.
Yeah, so a lot of years.
A long time,
a long time.
Yeah.
So that initial sort of jump into like, I'm going self-employed now, or I'm going to go and train to do something else. Like, what pushed you past? Like, what helped you push past your fears?
I don't even really know. I think it's almost like I was just sort of guided to it, which might sound a bit weird, but I just thought this is what I need to do. And I feel really passionate about people having a voice because I work with corporate companies as well. I feel passionate about people having a voice within a company. which I think is why I enjoyed the EAP work so much as well, to empower those people as well. So
and that sort of that the wanting other people to have a voice, did that reflect back to anything that you had sort of experienced where you didn't have a voice?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely. I think I often felt I didn't have a voice. Often when I was younger, when I was at boarding school, all those things. And I understand now. I went through all those because I've learned so much about myself, and actually they've given me huge strength to actually keep going and not give up. Because I just discover these things that work for me, and then rather than just sort of sharing it instantly, I then go off and learn how to teach it or whatever.
That's
brilliant. And then I take it out. Yeah.
That's so good.
It's given me huge strength, definitely. So I feel massively grateful for that. But yeah, I do believe that, our clients that come towards us, of course, they have the same experiences that we've had, because we can share them and show them that actually we can get through those blocks. There are ways to overcome them.
That's amazing. So what are your sort of last tips or tools for anyone out there who's maybe just starting a journey, a spiritual journey, or like wanting to change careers or wanting to like set up their own thing? Is there any like 3 things or a few things that you would say you would definitely recommend? Like, what are the things that you do that help you sort of jump out of bed in the morning and encourage yourself to just live this life that you're living?
I think the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that is that feeling of when you're thinking about something, of whether it's changing career or whatever it might be, if you really have stillness and close your eyes and really think about it, and if you have any tightness around it, then it's not the right thing. And if you have that real excitement inside, then it's for you. And it's how to hold on to that excitement and actually think, yes, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah. So that's probably the main one, I think, for me. Yeah. Because we only get one chance here, if we don't do these things. And I think, people often say, if you see yourself in 5 or 10 years time, or you're on your deathbed and looking back, what would you regret? That was a really sobering moment for me when I thought about looking back from, my 100-year-old self about to die, thinking, actually, why didn't I do that? Because, there's really nothing stopping us except ourselves.
Yeah. And is there one book that you would recommend that sort of helped you see life differently? There's so many, but is there one that really stands out?
I love Sonia Choquette. I love Ask Your Guides.
Yeah. Because
I think that really helps. I never go anywhere without asking my angels to help me park the car. And my gosh, every time there's there. Thank you, angels. So I love that book. Oh my gosh, there are so many. I mean, I love poetry. I love quotes. I love Rumi. I love Khalil Gibran. I think there's too many. I can't think.
Too many to mention. But I like that you mentioned that book. So perhaps we'll share the link to it on Amazon for anyone out there that's looking for a new read. And
So, because it just brings awareness of the energy that's around us, because there is so much energy, and we know it. We know it is there. But sometimes we just sort of ignore it.
Yeah. Or sometimes we're like, can it really be? Like,
exactly. Yeah. Give me a sign. Give me a sign. But the sign is there.
Sign is now. So it's been a pleasure having you on here. Is there anything else you want to share or ask or put out there before we close our interview tonight?
I think I just want to say to anybody that this resonates with, just to really allow yourself to listen to yourself and to really honor and respect yourself, because you are perfect. We are all perfect, and to not let those mind worms tell us that we're not, and be negative.
Stinking thinking. There's a book that I read, and it was this guy from Essex who's wrote, and he's like, stinking thinking, and I'm like, I love that. It's like stinking thinking that you have a lot of the time. So it's like, release the stinking thinking and just bring in these good thoughts that can really empower you to be amazing and do like what you done 13 years ago and think, fuck this shit, let's just power on through and create a life that I truly desire and want, and one that is helping others. Like, that's huge.
I think stinking thinking goes along with Muji talked about grumpy food. So, you know, if you eat crap food, it makes you grumpy.
Oh, it does. It does.
And it's so true.
It?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so true.
Mm.
So yeah, stop the grumpy foods and the stinking thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that advice.
Yeah. And is there anything else I want to say? No, I mean, I'll put some links on the bottom of things that are coming
please.
up. I've got a yoga retreat coming up in May, and I've got a mindful retreat coming up in Glastonbury in October.
Oh, wow. So the yoga retreat, where is that? Is it in Scotland?
Dunkeld. Yeah, Dunkeld.
Dunkeld. Is that just up near where you are?
Oh, yeah. So it's it's about 20 minutes north of Perth. So it's probably about an hour and a half from Edinburgh, max.
Right, okay, perfect. So that's the first one. And then you've got a mindfulness
And
retreat.
then I got a mindful retreat, sort of meditation in art and sort of creative weekend in Glastonbury, because I love Glastonbury.
Powerful place.
Yeah, it's an incredible place. I love it there. So that's happening in October. Yeah.
Amazing.
But there's bits and pieces on my website about it all. So yeah.
Well, please share your website once I share this again, so that anyone can get in touch, you know.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
I will. Yeah.
It's been so lovely to have you on here. Tell me, was there something else there?
No, that's it. I just have loved this, Lynette. Thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you for trusting me.
Well, thank you for trusting me. And it's just been amazing to share this, and hopefully, you know, somewhere out there it'll you know, touch people and help them.
It will.
And if anybody has any questions, please email me, or, you know, you can find my contact details on my website. Please text me or email me. I'm really open to talking to anybody about anything that comes up for them. So yeah.
Ali has just shared incredible chat, insights, exploring, sharing. Many thanks both.
Oh, thanks, Ali.
Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in, Ali, and watching till the end as well. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Have an incredible Sunday night.
Yes, thank you.
And you. Anyone out there who's been watching, thank you. And remember to have lots of deep conversations this week, because it will transform you.
Totally. It will. Yes. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. And speak to you soon. Thank you.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.